Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something that affects so many people. Anxiety and, well, panic attacks too.
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we've been digging into some really practical stuff. It's excerpts from chapter 13 of the 5-second rule. The chapter is actually called End Anxiety.
Right, and anxiety. And our goal here really is to unpack the key ideas from this chapter. It's about how the author, Mel Robbins, suggests using her hashtag 5-second rule, but like combined with another technique to tackle anxiety.
Exactly. And it's based on her own life, her own struggles, but also, interestingly, some, surprising research findings we'll get into.
Yeah, the central idea, the thing that really jumped out at me from this chapter is this concept that, well, maybe those intense physical feelings you get with anxiety,
Yeah.
maybe they aren't quite what you think they are.
And that how your mind labels those feelings, that actually changes everything.
Okay, so let's start where the author does. She's very upfront, calls herself a lifelong anxiety sufferer.
Right. This isn't abstract for her. It's personal.
Definitely. She talks about it going way back, that nervous stomach thing as a kid, getting so homesick at camp she had to leave. Little things, but big physical reactions for her.
Yeah, and it didn't stop there. Blushing really easily, needing liquid courage, she calls it, in college, just to handle social stuff.
Otherwise, she'd get stress hives.
Wow. Yeah, like physically breaking out in hives on her neck. So really visible physical signs of that stress.
And then things really ramped up, it sounds like, in her early 20s, law school.
That's when the panic attacks started. And the source makes this really important point. Sometimes they have a clear trigger, like facing a big fear.
But sometimes.
Sometimes they just hit for no reason at all, as she puts it. Just boom, that wave of terror seemingly out of nowhere.
Okay, so how do we understand that? That no reason panic? The chapter has this analogy, right? The near miss.
Yes, the near-miss analogy. It's actually brilliant for explaining the difference between normal panic and a panic attack.
Okay, walk us through it.
Okay, so imagine you're driving on the highway. Maybe you change lanes. And whoa, another car cuts you off. Super close call. A real near miss.
Okay, yeah. Heart pounds immediately.
Instantly. Your body just floods with adrenaline, heart races, breath gets fast, cortisol spikes, you might start sweating. Your body's basically screaming, action, danger, do something.
Right, slam the brakes, swerve, whatever. You react.
Exactly. And crucially, in that same instant, your brain knows why. It registers, okay, almost crashed. That was the danger. There is a clear external cause for that massive physical jolt.
So the mind has an explanation.
Precisely. Because it knows why it happened, it doesn't freak out about the feeling itself. It understands the threat was outside. You dealt with it. It's over.
You calm down relatively quickly.
Yeah. The body settles because the cause was identified and resolved. That's normal panic.
Okay, so contrast that with the panic attack, according to the chapter.
So the chapter says it's the exact same physical feeling. That near-miss sensation, racing heart, short breath, sweat, cortisol, feeling hyper-aware, everything.
But it hits when you're just...
Standing in the kitchen. Or sitting at your desk. There's no obvious external near miss that just happened. Nothing scary you can point to.
And that's where the mind goes off the rails.
That's the critical point. Your body is screaming, danger, just like on the highway, but your conscious mind looks around and sees. Nothing dangerous, no speeding car.
So it starts searching inward.
Exactly, it scrambles, why do I feel like this? What's wrong? And if it can't find an external reason, it defaults to assuming the danger must be internal, or something terrible is about to happen.
Like, am I having a heart attack? Am I dying? Am I going crazy? All those catastrophic thoughts.
Right. And because the brain can't find a logical external cause, it concludes the feeling itself must be the danger, so it ramps up the fear, which makes the physical symptoms worse.
And you get that desperate urge to escape. I have to get out of here.
Creating this vicious cycle. The author says she was trapped in that for years, the fear of the next panic attack actually becoming the trigger for more anxiety.
So, understandably, she tried things. Therapists, cognitive approaches.
Yeah, trying to find a way out, but she kept hitting that common problem. The fear of the panic attack itself just made everything worse.
She does mention using Zoloft and calls it a miracle drug for her for a long time. And the source is careful to say, if you're really struggling, professional help, maybe medication, can be essential.
Absolutely. This strategy isn't positioned as instead of that, but maybe in addition to it, or for managing those breakthrough moments.
Right. So what pushed her to look beyond medication?
It was seeing her own kids starting to struggle, really struggle, not just everyday worries, but anxiety that was stopping them from, doing sleepovers, making them sleep on their parents' floor, constant worrying.
Oh, wow. That must have been heartbreaking. She mentioned specifics, right? Like her son Oakley had a name for his anxiety state.
Yeah, Oliver. He'd get into this panicky Oliver state, and her daughter Sawyer described this what-if loop. Just getting stuck thinking, what if this happens? What if that happens?
You could just feel the helplessness in that because they're always what ifs.
Exactly. And the author talked about her frustration trying the usual advice, just change the channel in your mind, or trying to make games out of facing fears. It just wasn't cutting it for that level of anxiety, often made it worse, apparently.
Which led her to a really key insight, right?
Yeah.
About why just telling someone deep in anxiety to calm down or stop thinking about it often doesn't work, why it can even backfire.
Yeah, think about the physiology again. Anxiety is high gear. Your body is physically agitated, like running at 60 mile per hour, metaphorically.
Yeah.
Telling it to calm down is like trying to instantly go from 60 to 0. You're fighting against this intense physical momentum. The source uses this analogy of trying to stop a freight train with a boulder. It just doesn't work well.
And there's research on this about suppressing thoughts.
Mm-hmm. The chapter mentions a study, I think it was in behavior research and therapy, showing that when people actively tried not to think anxious thoughts, they actually ended up feeling more distressed by them later. Fighting it makes it stronger.
Okay, so if calming down or suppressing doesn't work, what does the chapter propose? This is where the hashtag 5-second rule comes back in, but with something else.
Exactly. The strategy that she found really worked involves two parts. First, use the hashtag 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to interrupt the negative thought spiral and basically take control of your brain for a second.
Okay, interrupt the pattern. Then what?
Then you actively reframe the physical sensation. You don't try to make it go away. Instead, you relabel it. You tell yourself it's not anxiety or fear. It's excitement.
Wait, anxiety is excitement. How does that work? That sounds really different.
It does, but here's the fascinating part. Physiologically speaking, the physical feelings are almost identical.
Really? Sweaty palms, racing heart, flushed face, that whole surge.
Yep. That's your body in a state of high arousal. It's getting ready for action. Whether that action is fighting, fleeing, or performing, anticipating something big, the physical prep is remarkably similar.
So the feeling itself isn't inherently bad or good.
The source argues no. The feeling is just energy, arousal.
Yeah.
The only difference is the story your mind tells about it. What label you slap onto that physical state.
Like the near miss again. Highway crash, danger, react. Standing in kitchen. Uh-oh, internal danger.
Exactly. The label dictates the experience. And the author talks about her own public speaking. Huge success, right? Most booked female speaker. But she says she still gets all those physical symptoms backstage. Every time.
The nerves, the jitters.
Right. Sweaty palms, heart pounding, face hot. But she learned not to call it nerves. She consciously tells herself, this isn't nerves, this is excitement. And she uses that energy on stage.
Wow. And she found science to back this up. Anxiety reappraisal.
Yes. She mentions research by Alison Woodbrooks at Harvard Business School. Her studies apparently showed that when people feeling anxious were told to say, I am excited, out loud,
Yeah.
they didn't just feel less anxious, they actually performed better on things like math tests, public speaking, even singing karaoke.
Karaoke. Okay, that's proof. So it's like, instead of trying to force your body from 60 mile per hour down to 0.
You're redirecting it. You're telling your brain the 60 mile per hour feeling, it's not fear-based arousal heading for a crash. It's excitement-based arousal ready to go.
It's easier to shift from one high arousal state to another high arousal state than to slam on the brakes.
That seems to be the mechanism. The studies found the I'm excited group outperformed the I'm anxious group, and even a control group who said nothing.
Okay, but does saying I'm excited make the physical feelings just disappear instantly? The chapter addresses that, right?
It does. And no, it doesn't necessarily make them vanish right away. You might still feel your heart pounding. But by giving your mind that empowering explanation, this energy is excitement. You stop the downward spiral into fear and panic. You stop the brain from concluding something is terribly wrong.
You stay in the driver's seat of the interpretation.
Right. You prevent the escalation.
Right.
And that physical energy, you can then channel it. Plus, as you start moving, acting, doing the thing, the physical feelings tend to naturally subside anyway.
Okay, so practically, anxiety hits. What are the steps again, according to the source?
Okay, step 1. The moment you feel that surge, that familiar anxious feeling rising, immediately hit the mental brakes with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Count backward. Interrupt the automatic negative thought. Assert control.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got it.
Then, Then immediately start telling yourself out loud is best if you can. I'm so excited. Repeat it. Reframe the feeling.
Okay. Reframe to excitement.
And then, critically, push yourself to move forward. Take the action. Don't wait for the feeling to go away. Use the count and the reframe to propel you into action.
That physical push, the moving forward, is key then, linked to the counting.
Seems like it. It engages the prefrontal cortex, keeps you focused on the positive interpretation. I'm excited, and look, I'm doing it.
There's that story about her son, right? The
Yeah.
11-year-old with the sleepover anxiety.
Yes, such a great example. He was really anxious about going to a sleepover. So on the whole drive there, she had him repeat, I'm excited to sleep over. Just kept saying it.
And did it work? Did he feel excited?
Well, when she asked him how he felt when they arrived, he was honest. He said, my heart is still racing and my stomach feels funny.
Okay, so the feelings were still there.
But he immediately added, but I'm excited to sleep over. He had both the physical sensation and the new mental label, and he stayed.
Wow, that's powerful. He acknowledged the feeling but chose the interpretation.
Exactly. And the follow-up is amazing. 6 months later, the sleepover anxiety was just gone. He was genuinely excited about them. That strategy helped him break the cycle. It turned the feeling from a stop sign into fuel.
So, thinking about this for someone listening,
Mm-hmm.
how might they apply this?
Well, the invitation from the chapter is really clear. Try it. Think about where that physical surge hits you. Is it panic attacks? Stage fright before a presentation? Pre-game jitters? Worrying about a big exam or a job interview? Anytime that physical arousal kicks in and your default is, oh no, anxiety.
Try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then I'm excited, and push forward.
Give it a shot. See what happens when you change the label.
So, pulling this deep dive together, the big takeaway from this chapter seems to be the physical feelings of anxiety and excitement are, well, basically twins.
Very similar, yeah.
And the difference maker is purely the label your mind assigns. Use the 5-second rule to interrupt the fear label. Actively choose the excitement label instead.
And you can potentially shift your whole experience from being stopped by the feeling to being powered by it.
It really does make you reconsider how we interpret our own bodies, doesn't it? There's that A.M. Young quote, the source included.
Oh, yeah, the Winnie the Pooh one. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
Exactly. So the final thought maybe is, what if reframing these intense physical feelings isn't just like a mind trick?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's actually a way to connect with that bravery, that strength that Moline talks about, the strength that's already there, just waiting for you to recognize the feeling not as weakness, but as readiness? Something to definitely think about next time that feeling shows up.